into my world. Won't you come on in? Some miracles, I guess, still happen now and then. Step into my heart and leave your cares behind. Welcome to my world. Built with you in mind. Knock and the door will open. See and you will find.
Chris, welcome.
Hi.
It's great that you had time to come here and talk with me.
Yes.
I just make a short introduction about you and talked about your sculptures, and you have been actually making, in my mind, 2 very famous sculptures, and you probably did much more than just those 2. But one I have in mind is the one you made with Michael Jackson for the History album.
Well,
and
there's a bit of a confusion about that.
Okay.
I didn't make it specifically for the History album.
I know that in some way, yeah. Because it was something like Michael Jackson just took it, or what was it?
Yes, that's about the bottom line. It was actually taken and used without my permission. Of course, Michael Jackson's company is a lot bigger than my mere persona, you know. So it was quite impossible to do anything about it unless I was very wealthy. And I wasn't, so I couldn't do a thing about it. But it was made specifically for the British fan club, the Michael Jackson fan club. There were 2 or 3 of them. One was presented to Michael Jackson. I think it was in Tenerife concert. Was that a dangerous tour? Well, it was presented to him there, and I believe he was well taken with it and had it flown back to the...
It looks that way since he used it on the album.
Well, that's exactly what it was. A shock to me. It was my nephews, in actual fact, who told me, "Have you saw the new Michael Jackson album?" No. And when I saw it, good grief.
Rock and roll. Oh, you can have some rock and roll. Please, Mr. Burton.
What did you do when you saw it? Of course, it's in some ways, of course, very good branding and very good promotion for you. But anyway, you also, of course, want some money for it,
yes,
I guess.
But I wasn't paid.
Did you contact the Michael Jackson management?
Oh, yes, yes. In actual fact, it's an odd one as well. I was told to contact a lawyer in America, who, in fact, was the chap who was fighting the case regarding the child abuse
Okay.
that had him the opposite. And anyway, he said I had a very, very good case, but unless I could put a $40,000 retainer on for them to work, they wouldn't even look at it, the case.
Okay.
So what can you do really when it comes to that, you know? But that's really what happened. It was actually stolen. The idea was stolen. And there was one difference between the figure. It's virtually impossible, for example, for two artists to do exactly the same thing without, from the head, from the imagination. It's impossible. You can't do two exact same things. So when they used mine as probably the moquette, if you saw what they made, the big I think they were 9 feet tall or something, 9 of them sailed them down various rivers. But if I had copyright, say, on my own work, they can change that copyright very easily. In this case, the way the figure is standing, he's looking to his right, or his left, I think, yeah. And they turned the head to look to the left. See, and that little difference, well, it's negligible, I know, but it's enough for them to think they would get away with it. And they did anyway, because I couldn't...
They did it really on purpose. But anyway, it must have meant that you have been selling a lot of those smaller statues then with Michael Jackson. I earned some money on that.
No, I didn't do any.
Okay, you didn't
no.
make any more of it.
No,
you said you made it for the British fan club.
I think there was only about 5. I know that Elizabeth Taylor got one.
Okay.
And Brooke Shields got one. Of course, Michael Jackson was presented with one. And let me see. Oh, I just think there was another 2 made just to test the molds. And I think Stan Urban has one. I don't have one. So God knows where the other one went.
But anyway, it has. Of course, it's very sad that you didn't get any money for that, but you got a good promotion for it anyway. And I guess that's maybe where Henrik Knudsen from Graceland Randers got the idea when he talked with Stan Urban to make the Elvis statue here. Yeah. How did that? How did you get into that?
Well, you know the dream of Randers, Henrik's dream, and building Graceland and Randers, and way back when he just had a museum to himself then, a little museum, that's when he approached me. He said, if I ever built Graceland, would you build a figure of Elvis? I thought, well, yeah, but that's very unlikely. I couldn't see him building Graceland here in Randers, you know, as everyone else did. I'm not unique in that way of thinking. And eventually he did it, to my great surprise. And well, you know the result. And it was a year later, he says, I want it for a year. It's first year anniversary. So I did that for him. Then that was it. It was just, it was a pleasure as well to have something to do with this dream. Really good.
Here we go. From the Netherlands.
Welcome to my world. Won't you step on in? Miracles, I guess, still happen now and then. Step into these arms and leave your cares behind. Welcome to my world, built with you in mind. Knock and the door shall be open. Seek and you will find. Ask and you'll be given the key to this heart of mine. I'll be waiting there for you. Welcome to my world. Knock and the door shall be open. Ask and you will find. Ask and you'll be given, oh, the key to this heart of mine. I'll be waiting there with my arms unfurled, waiting just for you. Hey, welcome to my world. Welcome to my world.
When you do a statue like the big one down there, it's actually in the height that Elvis had, 184, I guess it is, right?
Yeah.
Well, 184 centimeters was Elvis' height, I think.
About that, yeah.
You make a little sculpture. How is it working?
Not with that, no. There's, you have to build if you will, a skeleton, you know. So that's built in wires and whatever, and chicken wire things, just to build an inside. It's made with clay, finished with clay, so the clay has to adhere to something. And then it's virtually sculpted out of the clay. So that's the basic job of sculpting in clay.
How long time is that taking? It must be taking a long time.
Not really, no. Maybe around about 38 hours. Yeah.
38 hours?
Yeah, but it's not done in a 38-hour week. Maybe done over a period of 12, 14 days, you know? Just taking an hour or two on it here and there. But in all, it's about 38 hours, I would think.
How did you get into starting making sculptures? Now we have talked about two sculptures of two very famous people, Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley. I guess you make sculptures of other things also.
Oh yeah.
Where do you get it from? Is it something you grew up with? Was it your parents who was doing things like that, or where do you get it from?
I wasn't taught. I'm self-taught. Self-taught sculptor, and self-taught in everything I've ever done, you know, which even comes down to music and things. But to go back to the first instant of the question, I was born with a gift. It's as simple as that. I was born gifted. Because there are many facets to my abilities, you know. So I think I was born gifted. Thank God, I mean, you know. I'm very proud of it. I'm pleased with it. But, so sculpting was just a natural thing for me. A piece of mud, plasticine, anything, you'd make something out of it.
Well, when did you start doing that kind of things? How old were you when you started?
One of my earliest memories is doing that. Very earliest memories, maybe 3, 4 years old, sculpting.
Okay.
And I might add, the people, I was in a little nursery class, you know, when you had children at nursery, and the little teachers, I remember one day they had everybody gathered around a thing I'd made. I must have been 3.5, 4 years old. They were fascinated to see what I'd made as a child. And you know, I can remember what that looked like.
What things are you normally doing when you don't? Is it famous people you make sculptures of?
No.
Or is it also like if I came and said, I would like to have a statue of myself standing in the garden, can you make that? Is that the kind of things you also do?
Yes,
for
absolutely. That's portrait work, certainly. Like any painter would say, yes, I'll take on a portrait, if he wants to paint portraits, of course. But in my case, I enjoy doing it anyway, so that's portrait work, yes, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
That's good.
So you do, what do you do for a living? Is that only this sculpture thing? I know you also have been doing something for a football club.
No, I've had a playwright as well, you know. When I say you're a sculptor, there's no particular pigeonhole you could put me into. I can sculpt, but I don't call myself a sculptor. I've written hit plays, but I don't call myself a playwright. I play music. I play banjo with a bluegrass band and various other instruments, but I don't call myself a banjo player. I can't do that. So it's various brackets, you know, that makes up the one. But I wouldn't say, somebody could say, I'm a joiner, and that's what I do, or a plumber, that's what I do. No, it's too many different things, and I wouldn't say I was any one of them. I'm capable of doing any one of them, but I'm not particularly adept at any one better than another.
But it's great that you have different things you can do. You never get tired of it then. You have a lot of different things to do.
No, that's one great thing, but you could also get tied up. As the old saying would say, too many irons in the fire, and the fire will go out. So if you do too much, you wind up leaving things and, oh, I should go back to that, and eventually it all tangles up and collapses. You have to sit back and say, stop, start again.
What are you driven by? Is it just the interest that makes you do all these kind of different things?
It's really, that's all it is, interest. That's all it is. I have a great passion for things that take on. It becomes become very passionate, you know, about whatever it may be.
Let's see those hands. Recalling the trip, I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Why can't you see what you're doing to me? If you don't believe a word I'm saying, we can't go on together with suspicious minds, and we can build our dreams on suspicious minds. With an old friend I know, nobody to say hello, but I still see suspicion in your eyes. Here we go in again, asking where I've been. You can see the tears are real, I'm crying. We can't go on together with suspicious minds, and we can build our dreams on suspicious minds. Whoa, let our love survive. I dry the tears out of your eyes. Oh, please don't let it good thing die. 'Cause honey, you know that I never lied to you. Oh, not much. Yeah, yeah. We caught in a trap. Come on. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Why can't you see what you're doing to me? If you don't believe a word I'm saying, don't you notice what I said? We're caught in a trap. Can't walk out of here because I love you too much, baby. Caught in a trap. Can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. We caught in a trap. Can't walk out because I loved you too much, baby. Can't hear you. Sing along, people. We caught in a trap. Can't walk out because I loved you too much, baby. We caught in a trap. I can't walk out
The TCB band, what else do you want?
Is it what you have been doing all your life, or had you had a 8 to 4 job also?
Oh yeah. But I started off as I left school, just educated, you know, a normal 15-year-old boy, no qualifications. So the first job, Dundee in particular, where I'm from, in Scotland, was famous for jute. Jute is like Hessian, you know, weaving of this, at mills everywhere. So there was always jobs in these mills. They were tedious places, tedious, dusty places. So anyway, I left school and went into one of these mills. And I think I may have been, what, maybe till about 17. Of course, while I was in the mills, along came the Beatles.
Yeah.
So we're all young guys, and I became a young drummer. And when the Beatles, I told you, I think, when the Beatles came from Germany, their first job, when Please Me was just riding up the charts.
And came number 17, as I remember, yeah.
Yeah, 17, and played it along with the Beatles on the same stage. And of course we didn't know what was going to happen, you know. Nobody had a clue that the Beatles were going to change things. And of course, a couple of years later, Beatlemania was just everywhere. So I left and went to London, searching for working groups, you know. So I worked with guys like Alex Harvey, and you know, the sensational Alex Harvey band, Honey Bus, people like that. Sometimes the names were different at that time, you know, but the same guys. And I tried to do all that. Of course, you're just a young lad, you're doing it. You go to the continent and things like that, and working over there. And I lived over in an island called Jersey in the Channel Islands, and that was putting on shows. These are variety shows, etc. Not like groups playing. You would have a band with dancers, magicians, whatever you want. Shows, you know, like you would see on the early TV shows, variety shows. And that was just things like that. Until I left there, came back again to Scotland, and I'm taking it a bit more serious now, in as much as it. Yes, I would like to do a bit more sculpting. It's very, very therapeutic.
You also had an idea, I think Stan Urban told me about, something about shirts you were making for a football club, is that correct?
No, it wasn't for a football club. These, it was specifically for people that never, strangely enough, tartan, you know, the checked thing and the kilts, you know, these patterns. Never once had there been ever a tartan t-shirt, a complete tartan t-shirt, never been made. And you think, after how many years of t-shirts, all kinds of t-shirts, never one. So I thought I would do that. And that was funny, you know. But I had Celtic and Rangers, they have their own tartan as well.
Okay.
So I had their tartans too. So that effectively, that's what you're talking about with football.
That's
clubs,
what I
you know.
thought, yeah.
They have their own tartans. But that was all. That was just something to do, to see, why not, just to see what happened. But fortunately enough, I sold that company on to a couple of men, you know. I wasn't really wanting to have a company. I just wanted to see if it could be done. And of course, you can't have one or two made. You have to have lots of them made.
Yes.
And so when you made lots of them, you have to sell them. And of course, I can't go about knocking doors to sell t-shirts. It's not me. But anyway, these men took it on and they did very well. So that was me happy there.
Well, Chris, we are coming to the end of the interview, but I will say thank you very much for coming and doing this interview with me.
Well, it's been my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
You've lost that love and feeling. You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips. Ain't no tenderness like before in your fingertips. Trying hard not to show it. But baby, baby, I know it. You've lost that loving feeling. Oh, that loving feeling. You've lost that loving feeling. Now it's gone, gone, gone. Oh, oh, oh. There's no welcome look in your eyes when I reach out for you. Girl, you started to criticize every little thing that I do. Makes me just feel like crying. 'Cause baby, something beautiful's dying. You lost that loving feeling. Oh, that loving feeling. You've lost that loving feeling. Oh, it's gone, gone, gone. Oh, oh, oh. Baby, baby, get on my knees for you. Love me like you used to do. Oh, yeah. We had love we don't find every day. So don't take it away. Listen to me talking to you. Bring back that loving feeling. Oh, that loving feeling. Bring back that loving feeling. Oh, it's gone, gone, gone. And I can't go on. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Perfect.
On a cold and gray Chicago morning, another little baby child was born. And his mom cried.
Is it still holding okay?
Looks like it. Sure looks like it.
You're satisfied with the work?
Yes.
After 3 years, it's still looking satisfying.
Well, you looking aged now, it looks good. I like to see it start to look aged.
Yeah.
I like this as well. See this?
Hello,
There's people touching it.
Yeah.
You're taking the patina away, it's good.
Elvis
Yeah.
Radio, live from Graceland Randers.
And you made it from your own mind? You didn't have a picture to look at when you did it?
No.